The alien scientist stared at the human male with wide, unblinking eyes. Its smooth, blue skin rippled in confusion as it adjusted the translator device on its wrist. "Explain this again," it said, its voice a mix of curiosity and horror. "You consume your females?" The human, a broad-shouldered man named John, burst into laughter. He wiped a tear from his eye before shaking his head. No! It's not like that at all." The alien, known simply as Researcher Vel, tilted its head. Its 4 slender fingers tapped nervously against the data pad. "But you said human males eat their females. This is a common practice?" John grinned, leaning back in his chair. "It's just a saying, Vel. A figure of speech. When we say a man eats a woman, we don't mean literally. It's about passion." Researcher Vel's large, dark eyes blinked rapidly. "Passion? Yeah, you know," John said, gesturing vaguely. "Romance. Affection. Love." The alien's skin flushed a deeper shade of blue. "You mean mating rituals?" John chuckled. "Something like that." Vel's datapad beeped, signaling the recording of this bizarre new information. The concept was strange, almost terrifying. On its homeworld, such phrases were unheard of. Consumption was literal, a brutal, survival-based act. The idea of using it to describe affection was unsettling. "But why use such violent words?" Vel pressed. "Does this not frighten your females?" John shrugged. "Nah. They say it too. Sometimes a woman will say a man devours her with his eyes. It's all just playful." Researcher Vel shuddered. "Playful? To speak of eating one another?" Humans were truly a strange species. And yet, fascinating. The alien quickly typed notes, eager to document this bizarre yet harmless human behavior. Perhaps, in time, it would understand. For now, it was just shocked. Researcher Vel couldn't shake the thought from its mind. Humans spoke of consuming each other as a form of affection. The concept was so strange that it spent the next few cycles reviewing human literature, trying to understand. On its homeworld, the act of eating was purely survival. Predators ate prey. The strong consumed the weak. There was no poetry in it, no hidden meaning. But humans turned everything into metaphor. Vel scrolled through human poetry, pausing at a line. "I could devour you with my love." The alien's skin prickled with unease. It turned to John, who was sipping a dark, steaming liquid from a cup. "This devouring, it is not real?" John smirked. "Nope. Just a way of saying someone's really into another person." "But why not say that directly?" Vel pressed. "Where's the fun in that?" John laughed. "We like drama. Exaggeration. Makes things more exciting." Vel's datapad beeped again as it recorded another example. It had studied many species, but none used language in such a dangerous way. Then, something else caught its attention. In human films, a man leaned close to a woman, whispering, "I'm going to eat you up." The woman laughed, pulling him closer. Vel froze. This wasn't just words, it was behavior. A ritual. The alien's mind raced. Was this a threat? A promise? A game? John noticed Vel's distress and sighed. "Look, it's not as scary as you're making it. It's just playful teasing. Like when you say someone's sweet. You don't actually think they're made of sugar, right?" Vel hesitated. "On my world, calling someone sweet would imply they are edible." John blinked. "Oh. Right. Well, humans don't mean it like that." The alien's confusion deepened. How could a species be so careless with words that, to others, meant life or death? Then, a terrifying thought struck Vel. What if humans did consume each other, just not in the way it feared? What if their way of eating was something far more subtle? Something emotional. Something inescapable. Researcher Vel's thoughts spiraled as it observed more human interactions. Everywhere it looked, the terrifying metaphor persisted. A human female giggled as her partner nibbled playfully at her neck, whispering, "You're delicious." A group of friends laughed as one declared, "That movie was so bad it ate my soul." Even human parents cooed at their infants, saying, "I could just gobble you up." Vel's translator struggled to keep up. The more it learned, the more disturbing the pattern became. John noticed the aliens' distress as they walked through the ship's recreation area. "You're still stuck on this whole eating thing, aren't you?" Vel's 4 fingers trembled around its data pad. "John Human, I must ask, is this how humans bond? By pretending to consume each other?" John scratched his beard. "Well, when you put it like that, it sounds kinda weird. But yeah, I guess so." The aliens' large eyes darted to a couple sharing food nearby, feeding each other bites of dessert. Vel's respiratory flaps fluttered in alarm. "They're practicing. This is how it begins." John burst out laughing. "Buddy, you're reading way too much into Dash." "No," Vel interrupted, voice rising. "I see the truth now. Your species doesn't consume flesh, you consume identities." The alien backed away, datapad clutched protectively to its chest. First the playful threats, then the shared sustenance, then the emotional merging. It's a slow assimilation. Several nearby humans paused their activities, staring at the agitated alien. John held up his hands placatingly. "Whoa there, Vel. You're jumping to some wild conclusions." Vel wasn't listening. The pieces were falling into place. Human romance was clearly a predatory bonding ritual, where individuals gradually dissolved into coupled pairs. No wonder human marriages involved phrases like, "two becoming one." The alien scientists suddenly understood why humans dominated the galaxy. They didn't conquer through weapons or force, they absorbed other cultures through their terrifying, all-consuming concept of love. And Vel had been studying them up close. Researcher Vel's data pad clattered to the floor as it scrambled to compose an urgent transmission. Its smooth blue fingers danced across the console with uncharacteristic panic, drafting a warning to the Galactic Xenostudies Bureau. "Urgent. Human bonding practices constitute psychological predation." The message detailed its horrifying discovery: how humans practice gradual emotional consumption under the guise of affection. How their metaphors of devouring mirrored their actual social behaviors. How their entire culture normalized this insidious form of bonding. John leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "You're really sending that?" Vel didn't look up. "The Bureau must be warned. Your species' bonding rituals are clearly an evolutionary predatory adaptation." The human sighed and pushed off from the doorframe. "Let me get this straight, you think that because we say cute stuff to each other, we're somehow, what? Emotionally cannibalizing our partners?" Vel finally turned, its large eyes gleaming with scientific fervor. "Precisely. Observe your own mating rituals, first the verbal consumption metaphors. Then, the physical mimicry of eating behaviors." It pulled up footage of a human couple sharing an ice cream cone. "See? Shared consumption as bonding practice." John rubbed his temples. "That's just being romantic, Vel. Romance is the vehicle for assimilation." Vel's voice echoed through the comms room. Several crew members paused their work to stare. The alien continued, voice dropping to a frantic whisper. "Don't you see? Your love is a slow dissolution of individuality. First the pet names, then the shared possessions, then the merging of social circles. It's systematic consumption of identity." John opened his mouth, then closed it. A slow grin spread across his face. "You know, that's actually kind of beautiful when you put it that way." Vel recoiled as if struck. "Beautiful? It's horrifying. Your species doesn't just fall in love, you consume each other until nothing remains but the relationship entity." The human's grin widened. "Yeah. And it's awesome." The alien scientist stared in dawning horror as it realized the truth. Humans weren't just practicing this behavior unconsciously. They knew. And they enjoyed it. The Galactic Xenostudies Bureau's response arrived within the hour. Vel's trembling fingers activated the message, expecting urgency, perhaps even a quarantine order for the human vessel. Instead, the screen displayed a single line. "Researcher Vel, please clarify, are humans actually eating each other?" Vel's respiratory flaps flared in frustration. Of course the bureaucratic minds would miss the nuance. It began drafting a furious rebuttal when John's shadow fell across the console. You really got them worried, huh? The human was eating some sort of fried earth food, chewing loudly. Vel spun its chair around. They don't understand. Your entire social structure is built on controlled consumption. Look at your traditions. It pulled up images. Wedding ceremonies where humans fed each other cake. Hickey marks humans left on each other's skin. Even the human concept of heartbreak, clear evidence of emotional digestion. John swallowed his food with an amused smirk. Okay, sure. But you're missing the best part. Vel's data pad hovered over the send button. What best part? The human leaned in, eyes sparkling. We like being consumed. That's the whole point. The alien's four hearts skipped a beat. John continued. Think about it. Why do you think we write songs about losing ourselves in love? Why do we say things like you complete me? He spread his hands. We want to be devoured. That's how you know it's real. Vel's mind reeled. This was worse than it imagined. Not only was the consumption deliberate, humans craved it. They considered it the highest form of connection. The data pad slipped from numb fingers as the full horror became clear. Humanity's greatest strength wasn't their technology or resilience. It was their terrifying, beautiful willingness to dissolve into each other. To be consumed and to consume in return. And the most frightening realization of all? Vel felt envious. Vel sat in silence for hours after John's revelation. The alien's smooth blue skin rippled with conflicting emotions as it replayed the human's words. We want to be devoured. On Vel's world, such a concept was unthinkable. The Zerithian species prized absolute individuality above all else. Their relationships were transactions, carefully negotiated contracts with clear boundaries. The idea of willingly letting another consume part of your identity was. The alien found its thoughts drifting to the human couples it had observed. The way they leaned into each other's space without hesitation. How they finished each other's sentences. The way their eyes lit up when their partner entered the room. A strange warmth spread through Vel's circulatory system. John found the alien still sitting in the observation lounge, staring at the stars. You okay there, buddy? Vel's voice came out softer than usual. John human, this devouring you speak of. Does it hurt? The human sat beside the alien, uncharacteristically serious. Sometimes, yeah. But that's part of what makes it real. He pointed to a scar on his forearm. You know how I got this? Cooking accident. Hurt like hell at the time. But now when I see it, I remember teaching my niece how to make pancakes. Vel's breathing slowed as it processed this. So the consumption leaves marks. But these marks become part of you. Exactly. John grinned. Love's like that too. It changes you. Leaves its marks. But that's how you know it mattered. The alien looked down at its own unmarked blue skin. In all its cycles of existence, nothing had ever left a mark, not physically, not emotionally. The Zerithian way was safe. Clean. And suddenly, terribly empty. Vel stood abruptly. I must send another message to my superiors. John raised an eyebrow. Gonna tell them to quarantine us after all? The alien skin flushed a deeper blue as it turned toward the comm terminal. No. I am going to tell them, they are wrong about humans. The Galactic Xena Studies Bureau received researcher Vel's updated report with considerable confusion. The initial panic about human psychological predation had been replaced by something far more unsettling: admiration. Vel's final transmission scrolled across the screen. Correction to previous alert. Human bonding practices do not constitute predation, but rather a unique form of symbiotic transcendence. Their capacity for mutual consumption represents an evolutionary leap in emotional connection that our species has failed to achieve. John read over Vel's shoulder, eyebrows climbing toward his hairline. Damn, Vel. That's poetic. The alien skin shimmered with newfound confidence. It is truth. My people have spent millennia perfecting isolation, fearing contamination of self. But humans, Vel gestured to the observation window where two crew members sat close together, sharing headphones. You have mastered the art of becoming more through each other. John chuckled. Never thought I'd see the day a Zerithian got mushy about human love. Vel turned its large, luminous eyes toward the human. This changes everything. If my species could learn even a fraction of this capacity. The alien trailed off, imagining a world where connections left marks, where identity could expand rather than just be protected. Back on Zerith, the Bureau debated Vel's report late into their planetary night cycle. Some called it heretical. Others revolutionary. A few scientists quietly requested transfers to Earth study divisions. Meanwhile, aboard the human vessel, Vel did something unprecedented and asked John to teach it a human consumption ritual. John grinned. All right, let's start simple. He handed Vel a slice of pizza. First rule of human bonding: you always share food. As the alien tentatively took a bite, something remarkable happened. Vel's skin rippled with warm hues normally only seen in Zerithian mating displays. John's eyes widened. You're glowing, buddy. Vel looked down at its own shimmering arms and made a sound no Zerithian had ever made before, a bubbling, joyful laugh. John human, it said, holding out the pizza. Would you like to devour this with me? The human's answering grin was all the response needed. Somewhere in the galaxy, a new understanding began to spread that humanity's greatest strength wasn't in their weapons or technology, but in their terrifying, beautiful willingness to consume and be consumed. And perhaps, just perhaps, that was something worth learning. The mess hall fell silent when Vel entered wearing a human-style apron. The alien's blue skin shimmered with nervous excitement as it carried a tray of something. John nearly choked on his coffee. Vel, what the hell is that? Earth cuisine, Vel announced proudly, placing the tray between them. I studied your consumption rituals and created the ultimate bonding meal. On the plate sat a bizarre fusion, pizza topped with what appeared to be Zerithian nutrient gels, drizzled in engine lubricant, which Vel insisted was just like your cheese sauce, and crowned with a single glowing berry from its homeworld. The human crew members exchanged glances. Engineer Thompson whispered, That thing's either gonna kill us or get us high as hell. Vel's facial ridges drooped. You do not wish to share my offering? John saw the alien's trembling fingers and sighed. All right, buddy. But if I grow a third eye tomorrow, I'm blaming you. He took a dramatic bite and froze. The entire mess hall held its breath. Holy shit. John's eyes widened. This is actually amazing? The glowing berry created a cascade of flavors that somehow made the motor oil taste like aged bourbon. The nutrient gel transformed into perfect pizza sauce mid-chew. Vel's skin pulsed with pride. I analyzed 147 human food-sharing rituals. The key is... It leaned closer. You must want to share the experience. As the crew hesitantly tried Vel's creation, something unprecedented happened. The Zerithian found itself at the center of a human bonding ritual, its 4 hearts beating faster with each new person who took a bite. Chief Medical Officer Reynolds wiped her mouth. Vel, if you can make engine grease taste this good, what else can you? Alarms blared. The ship shuddered violently. Over the intercom, the captain's voice barked. All hands! First contact situation in Hangar Bay 3. We've got an unregistered Zerithian shuttle that just... The comm cut off as the lights flickered. When they stabilized, Vel stood face to face with 3 Zerithian enforcers, their sleek black encounter suits humming with restraint fields. The lead enforcer's voice modulator crackled. Researcher Vel. By order of the Galactic Bureau, you are hereby charged with cultural contamination. Their visor tilted toward the half-eaten alien pizza. And possibly culinary terrorism. John stepped between them, pizza slice still in hand. Now hold on. Before you arrest my friend here. He took another bite. You gotta try this damn pizza. The enforcers hesitated. The crew held their breath. And in that moment, Vel realized the terrifying truth: humanity's consumption wasn't just changing it. The infection was spreading.